Your eyes are not cameras. Your brain is not a computer. Your senses lie to you, and it's all by design. Recent work in cognitive science suggests our senses function more like user interfaces than transparent windows. Your brain constructs an experience optimized for survival, not truth. You never see the actual code running underneath. Cognitive scientist Donald Hoffman claims he can prove that space and time don't even exist, and that consciousness might be the only thing that's actually real. In one study, researchers showed bats navigate by echolocation in total darkness, beyond ordinary visual reality, hinting at how diverse perceptual interfaces can be. But here's the terrifying part about lifting this veil. The very theory that explains how we got here proves we can't trust anything we see. Darwin's hidden deception about survival. Darwin's theory of evolution contains a hidden trap that destroys our ability to trust our own senses. The man who gave us natural selection accidentally provided the framework that proves reality as we experience it cannot exist. His process guarantees that any creature seeing the truth about its environment dies off within generations. What Darwin discovered means your eyes, ears, and brain evolved specifically to hide reality from you. Donald Hoffman later used mathematical models to show that natural selection favors perceptual shortcuts over accuracy. Hoffman's simulations extended Darwin's insight. Organisms tuned for truth died off, while those using quick survival shortcuts prevailed. This creates a massive problem for everything we think we know. If our sensory systems evolved to keep us alive rather than inform us accurately, then every single thing we perceive is filtered through survival needs rather than reality. Natural selection works like this. Organisms that survive long enough to reproduce pass on their traits. Organisms that don't survive don't pass on anything. Darwin showed us that survival beats truth every single time. Your ancestors who heard rustling in the bushes and assumed predator lived long enough to become your ancestors. The curious ones who stopped to investigate what was actually making that sound became lunch for something with bigger teeth. The truth seekers died out. The assumption makers lived on. Your brain receives electromagnetic radiation and interprets it as colors that don't actually exist in the physics of light waves. Your ears take air pressure changes and create the experience of music. Your nervous system translates molecular interactions into tastes and smells. None of these experiences match what's actually happening in the physical world. In Australia, male jewel beetles mistake brown beer bottles for mates, an evolutionary shortcut that survives, while precise truth seekers vanish. These beetles know as much about their actual mates as we know about reality. The organisms using shortcuts and quick assumptions dominated because they made faster decisions with less energy expenditure. While the truth seekers were still processing accurate information about their environment, the shortcut users had already grabbed resources and moved on to reproduce. Evolution rewards speed and efficiency, not accuracy and truth. This means 4 billion years of evolution has programmed your brain to deceive you about everything. Your brain filters out 99.9% of available sensory information before it reaches your conscious awareness. Every second, your nervous system receives approximately 11 million bits of sensory data. Your conscious mind processes about 40 bits. That means you're aware of 0.0004% of what's actually happening around you. The rest gets discarded, modified, or completely fabricated by your brain's prediction systems. Think about what this means for your daily life. You walk around convinced you're seeing the world around you, but you're actually experiencing a highly edited summary created by neural networks that evolved to keep primitive humans alive in dangerous environments. Your brain throws away massive amounts of information, fills in gaps with educated guesses, and presents you with a simplified cartoon version of reality that feels completely real. The filtering process happens automatically and unconsciously. You can't turn it off or adjust the settings. You're stuck with biological blinders that were optimized for survival scenarios your ancestors faced thousands of years ago. Your visual system prioritizes detecting movement and identifying potential threats over accurately representing the quantum field fluctuations that physicists tell us actually constitute matter. Your auditory system focuses on human voices and sudden loud sounds rather than the full spectrum of vibrations moving through the air around you. This biological editing system worked perfectly when humans lived in small groups and worried about predators, food scarcity, and finding mates. But now you live in a complex technological society while still using the same perceptual shortcuts that helped cave dwellers survive. Your brain interprets social media notifications with the same urgency it once reserved for approaching tigers. It processes traffic noise as potential threats. It creates stress responses to emails that your nervous system treats like life or death emergencies. The mathematical proof gets worse when you consider reproductive success. Organisms that spent time and energy accurately perceiving their environment had less time and energy available for finding mates and raising offspring. The ones who used mental shortcuts could devote more resources to reproduction. Over millions of generations, this created a massive selection pressure against truth-seeking and toward efficient approximation. Your ancestors were the ones who made quick decisions based on incomplete information, rather than the ones who wanted to understand what was really happening. Darwin's theory predicts that if natural selection shaped our perceptual systems, then those systems must be unreliable narrators of objective reality. Every sense you trust evolved to help primitive humans make fast survival decisions, not to provide accurate information about the fundamental nature of existence. Your eyes don't show you electromagnetic radiation. They show you a user interface designed to help you navigate the world efficiently enough to survive and reproduce. This applies to your sense of time, space, causation, and even your own identity. The experience of being a separate self moving through a world of objects exists because this perceptual framework helped your ancestors stay alive. It doesn't mean this framework corresponds to what's actually happening at the deepest levels of reality. Darwin showed us that evolution optimizes for reproductive fitness, not for truth-telling ability. The implications hit every aspect of human knowledge. Science, philosophy, and common sense all assume our perceptions provide at least somewhat accurate information about the external world. But if Darwin was right about how evolution works, then this assumption becomes questionable. 4 billion years of natural selection has produced sensory systems that prioritize survival over accuracy because seeing reality accurately would slow us down in survival situations. But the mathematical certainty of this deception needed proof. Someone had to test whether truth-seeking organisms really would lose to shortcut users in head-to-head competition. The answer would require running the evolutionary process thousands of times under controlled conditions to see which strategy actually wins. The mathematical proof that reality is fake. Hoffman designed computer simulations that sent shockwaves through research labs worldwide. In Hoffman's simplified computer models, truth-seeking agents always lost, highlighting how efficiency trumps accuracy in evolution. Simplified virtual worlds pitted truth-seekers against shortcut users, and each time, the shortcut users dominated. The results shocked everyone involved in the research. The truth-seeing organisms didn't just lose, they went extinct, every single time. In simulation after simulation, the organisms with perfect perception failed to survive while the shortcut users thrived and reproduced successfully. The mathematical certainty reached 100% across thousands of trials in these artificial environments. Why did accurate perception prove evolutionarily suicidal? They spent too long analyzing. Meanwhile, shortcut users acted quickly and reproduced. Truth seekers died out. The detailed analysis paralyzed the truth seekers. They had better information but couldn't act fast enough to benefit from it. Energy consumption played a crucial role in these outcomes. Processing complete sensory information requires massive computational resources. The brain tissue needed to analyze reality accurately consumes enormous amounts of glucose and oxygen. In survival situations, organisms with limited energy budgets can't afford the luxury of comprehensive analysis. They need quick decisions that conserve resources for other essential activities like finding food and reproducing. The jewel beetle provides a perfect real-world example of how evolution prioritizes efficiency over accuracy. Male jewel beetles in the Australian outback attempt to mate with brown beer bottles scattered across the landscape. The beetles mistake these bottles for female mates because their perception system only registers 3 key features: dimpled, glossy, and brown. These 3 characteristics were sufficient to identify females successfully for millions of years. The beetles don't need to understand bottle manufacturing, glass composition, or human littering habits. They don't need to know what beer is or why humans drink it. Their perception system evolved to detect specific visual cues that correlated with reproductive opportunities. The system worked perfectly until humans introduced objects that happened to trigger the same perceptual shortcuts. These beetles know as much about their actual mates as humans know about actual reality. The male beetle approaching a beer bottle experiences genuine attraction and mating behavior. From his perspective, he's found an unusually large and attractive female. The illusion feels completely real because his nervous system wasn't designed to distinguish between real females and objects that match the same visual pattern. Current 2025 research on cognitive load confirms why shortcuts beat detailed analysis in survival scenarios. Neuroscientists using advanced brain imaging can now measure the exact energy costs of different perceptual processes. Accurate perception demands roughly 40 times more neural resources than approximation-based shortcuts. This creates an enormous evolutionary pressure against truth-seeking behavior. The human brain consumes about 20% of your body's total energy budget despite representing only 2% of your body weight. If your ancestors had evolved more accurate perceptual systems, their brains would have required even more energy to operate. This would have left less energy available for other survival activities like running from predators, fighting off competitors, or attracting mates. Shortcuts and heuristics allow organisms to make acceptable decisions with minimal energy expenditure. Your brain evolved thousands of these cognitive shortcuts that help you navigate complex environments without overwhelming your information processing capabilities. You recognize faces using simple pattern matching rather than detailed geometric analysis. You assess social situations based on quick emotional reads rather than comprehensive behavioral analysis. These mental shortcuts create systematic errors in perception and judgment, but they keep you alive and functioning in fast-paced environments. A gazelle that stops to analyze whether an approaching shape is definitely a lion or possibly just a shadow gets eaten by actual lions. A gazelle that runs first and analyzes later survives to reproduce and pass on paranoid tendencies to future generations. Mathematical proof extends beyond individual survival to reproductive success. Organisms that spent cognitive resources on accurate perception had few resources available for courtship displays, territorial defense, and offspring care. The ones using perceptual shortcuts could devote more energy to activities that directly increased their reproductive fitness. Over thousands of generations, this created overwhelming selection pressure against truth-seeking and toward efficient approximation. Modern environments present the same trade-offs that shaped your ancestors. You make hundreds of quick decisions every day based on incomplete information and educated guesses. You choose foods based on appearance and smell rather than detailed nutritional analysis. You assess potential romantic partners using rapid judgments about attractiveness and compatibility rather than comprehensive personality inventories. You navigate traffic by estimating speeds and distances rather than calculating precise trajectories. These shortcuts work well enough to keep you alive and functioning in complex social environments. Perfect accuracy would slow you down to the point where you couldn't compete effectively with other humans who make faster decisions based on approximations. The job market rewards people who can make quick strategic choices, not those who spend months researching every possible outcome. Hoffman's simulations prove that evolution designed your perceptual systems to be effective rather than accurate. Your eyes, ears, and brain evolved to provide just enough information to guide adaptive behavior without overwhelming you with unnecessary details. The mathematical certainty shows that any organism optimized for truth-telling rather than survival efficiency goes extinct when competing against organisms optimized for speed and energy conservation. The implications are disturbing and liberating simultaneously. You walk around convinced that your perceptions show you reality, but they actually show you a carefully edited summary designed to help you survive and reproduce. The editing process happens automatically and unconsciously. You can't turn it off or adjust the settings. You're stuck with biological systems that prioritize useful fiction over inconvenient truth, and the mathematics prove this arrangement was inevitable given how evolution actually works. But this raises an uncomfortable question about the very organ you trust most to navigate the world around you. Your brain is not a camera, it's a liar. Most people think their eyes work like cameras. Point them at something, and they capture an accurate picture of what's there. This assumption forms the foundation of how we understand knowledge, science, and reality itself. But 2025 neuroscience research reveals something disturbing about this basic belief. Your brain doesn't record reality, it manufactures it. Every single thing you see gets constructed inside your head using internal prediction systems that have nothing to do with what's actually happening outside your skull. Your brain operates as a prediction machine rather than a recording device. It constantly generates expectations about what should be happening in your environment, then compares those predictions with incoming sensory signals. When the predictions match the signals, you experience smooth, coherent perception. When they don't match, your brain updates its internal models and adjusts future predictions. This process happens thousands of times per second without your conscious awareness. The construction process becomes obvious when you examine how your brain handles missing information. Each eye has a blind spot where the optic nerve connects to the retina. Your brain fills it in seamlessly, proof of how it manufactures reality. This creates a gap in your visual field roughly the size of 6 full moons held at arm's length. You never notice this massive hole in your vision, because your brain fills it in automatically using information from surrounding areas and predictions based on past experience. Your brain performs similar construction work with colors. The electromagnetic radiation hitting your eyes contains no colors whatsoever. Color exists only as an internal experience created by your nervous system. Different wavelengths of light trigger different responses in specialized cells, but your brain interprets these responses and generates the experience of red, blue, or green. The color red that you see when looking at a stop sign exists nowhere in the physics of light waves bouncing off painted metal. Optical illusions demonstrate your brain's creative storytelling in action. The famous dress that went viral online appeared either blue and black or white and gold to different viewers. The actual dress was blue and black, but lighting conditions in the photograph created ambiguous visual information. Some brains predicted indoor lighting and saw white and gold. Other brains predicted outdoor lighting and saw blue and black. The illusion revealed that color perception depends more on your brain's predictions than on the actual light reaching your eyes. Different species construct completely different realities from identical environments. Bees see ultraviolet patterns on flowers that remain invisible to human eyes. These patterns guide bees to nectar sources, but they don't exist in human visual experience. Snakes detect infrared radiation as heat signatures that help them locate warm-blooded prey. Sharks sense electrical fields generated by muscle contractions in other fish. Each species constructs a custom reality based on its specific sensory equipment and survival needs. The confidence you feel in your sensory equipment becomes humorous when you consider how unreliable it actually is. Your eyes can only focus clearly on objects in a tiny central area of your visual field. Everything in your peripheral vision appears blurry, but your brain creates the illusion that you see the entire scene in sharp focus. This happens because your eyes constantly move around, scanning different parts of your environment and building up a composite image that feels like comprehensive clarity. Your brain also invents continuity where none exists. When you blink, your visual input disappears completely for roughly 300 milliseconds. During an average day, you spend about 40 minutes with your eyes closed due to blinking. Your brain edits out these gaps and creates the experience of uninterrupted vision. You never notice the blackouts because your neural systems predict what should be happening during blinks and fill in the missing information seamlessly. Recent advances in brain imaging technology allow researchers to watch this construction process in real time. 2025 studies using high-resolution scanners show that most brain activity during perception happens in areas that generate predictions rather than areas that process incoming sensory data. Your visual cortex spends more energy creating internal models of what you should be seeing than analyzing the actual light patterns hitting your retinas. This prediction-based processing follows mathematical principles discovered in artificial intelligence research. Your brain uses Bayesian inference to combine prior expectations with current sensory evidence. When you hear footsteps behind you at night, your brain doesn't just process the sound waves. It combines those sounds with predictions based on your current location, time of day, recent experiences, and stored memories about similar situations. The result is a constructed experience that includes not just hearing, but also emotional responses, spatial awareness, and behavioral preparations. Temperature perception reveals another layer of neural construction. When you touch something, you don't directly sense its temperature. Your nervous system detects the rate of heat transfer between your skin and the object. Metal feels colder than wood at room temperature because metal conducts heat away from your skin faster, not because metal is actually at a lower temperature. Your brain constructs the experience of hot and cold based on heat transfer rates rather than absolute temperatures. The implications become unsettling when you realize that your most trusted sense operates as an unreliable narrator. Everything you use to navigate the world, make decisions, and understand your environment gets filtered through prediction systems that evolved to help primitive humans survive rather than perceive accurately. Your brain prioritizes creating useful experiences over creating accurate ones. This construction process operates below the level of conscious control. You can't turn off your brain's predictive systems or access the raw sensory data before it gets processed and interpreted. You're permanently trapped inside a constructed reality created by neural networks that evolved to keep your ancestors alive long enough to reproduce. The construction feels absolutely real because you have no access to anything else for comparison. Your brain actively constructs a custom reality designed specifically for your survival needs and shaped by your individual experience. This construction happens automatically, continuously, and without your awareness or consent. You experience this manufactured reality as obviously true because you have no alternative reference point, but the manufacturing process remains hidden behind layers of neural processing that evolved to deceive you about their own operation. But if your brain manufactures the reality you experience, what about the fundamental building blocks that reality seems to rest on? The solid ground beneath your feet, the passage of time, the three-dimensional space around you. Surely these basic features of existence must be real. Space and time don't actually exist. Leading physicists now argue spacetime disappears at the Planck scale. Below 1033 centimeters, equations break down. This isn't philosophical speculation or theoretical mumbling. Studies combining general relativity with quantum theory predict these breakdowns, revealing that spacetime functions more like a computer desktop than fundamental reality. Einstein's theories combined with quantum mechanics create mathematical contradictions that can only be resolved by accepting that space and time are constructed interfaces, hiding something far more strange underneath. The breakdown happens at the Planck length, which measures approximately 1033 centimeters. At this scale, smaller than anything you can imagine, the mathematical equations that describe spacetime stop making sense. The numbers become infinite or undefined. The mathematical structure collapses. This isn't a limitation of current knowledge or measurement technology. The math itself proves that spacetime cannot extend infinitely in all directions as a fundamental aspect of reality. Space and time may act like your computer's desktop, an interface hiding the true hardware beneath. You see files and folders arranged in space. You can move them around, organize them, delete them. The desktop interface feels real and functional, but the files and folders aren't actually sitting inside your computer as physical objects arranged in spatial relationships. They're representations created by software to help you interact with underlying code. The actual computer operations happen at a deeper level, involving electrical patterns and binary processing that bears no resemblance to the desktop metaphor your brain finds useful. Spacetime works the same way. The three dimensions of space and the flow of time that you experience represent interface elements designed to help you navigate reality efficiently. But the actual structure of existence operates according to completely different principles that have nothing to do with spatial relationships or temporal sequences. You're interacting with a user interface that translates incomprehensible deeper processes into familiar spatial and temporal patterns your brain can work with. Recent 2025 advances in quantum gravity research support this interface theory with increasingly precise mathematical proofs. Multiple independent research teams have demonstrated that spacetime emerges from more fundamental non-spatial and non-temporal processes. The mathematics describing these deeper levels uses entirely different concepts that don't translate into spatial or temporal language. Reality at its foundation operates according to principles that your brain cannot directly comprehend, so evolution provided you with a simplified interface instead. The implications attack everything you consider obviously true about physical reality. The table you're sitting at seems solid and permanent. It occupies a specific location in space and persists through time. But the mathematical structure of reality suggests that this table exists only as an interface element designed to help you navigate your environment. The actual processes creating your experience of table operate at levels of reality that bear no relationship to solid objects persisting through time. The hardest thing to accept is that this solid, substantial world around you isn't actually there in the way you experience it. That table feels genuinely hard when you touch it. It resists your attempts to push through it. It occupies space and prevents other objects from occupying the same location. These properties feel absolutely real because your interface was designed to create convincing experiences of solidity, resistance, and spatial exclusion. But mathematical analysis reveals that these experiences get generated by processes that don't involve actual solid objects arranged in actual space. This connects directly to Hoffman's virtual reality headset metaphor. You were born wearing a perceptual headset that creates the experience of living in a world of objects moving through space and time. The headset feels completely transparent because you have no access to reality without it. You can't remove the headset or even detect that you're wearing one. The interface creates such convincing experiences that you assume the interface represents actual reality rather than a translation system. Current physics research suggests that consciousness might be the fundamental reality that generates spacetime as an interface for conscious agents to interact. This flips traditional materialism completely upside down. Instead of consciousness emerging from complex arrangements of matter in space and time, consciousness creates the illusion of matter arranged in spacetime. You might be the consciousness experiencing itself through a carefully constructed interface designed to create the experience of being a physical body in a physical world.